Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Bold and Beautiful today.
Sheila is shot by Luna during a gunfight. Steffy Forrester, who is watching from a distance, is going to be shocked when Luna Nozawa shoots Sheila sharp during a scuffle over the pistol. Luna hopes her grandmother would agree with her now that Sheila has hurried to the beach house. Although Sheila came to prevent Luna from committing a serious error, Luna would still think that getting rid of Steffy will solve all of their issues. According to Luna, the only thing preventing them from having a happy family with Hayes and John Finnegan is Steffy. Sheila will need to exercise caution in her actions because she is aware that Luna has lost her mind. Pushing Luna over the line and making her shoot Steffy is the last thing Sheila wants to do. On Monday's B&B episode, Sheila may attempt to coerce Luna into giving up her weapon. Sheila may easily lie that she wants to shoot Steffy and act as though she has changed her mind. If that fails, Sheila can attempt a different tactic, saying that if Luna eliminates Steffy, Finn would never forgive her. In any event, Sheila will act rashly and go for the gun as Luna will eventually refuse to give it up. That will set off a dramatic conflict that will result in the weapon detonating without warning. When a shot is fired, even Luna will be surprised because it appears to be going directly into Sheila's abdomen. As this confrontation turns violent, Sheila appears about to lose it, thus Luna will become frightened and must make a decision. This horror show will be a front row seat for Steffy, but it's not quite over yet. Later in the week of July 7th to 11th, Luna will do some more outrageous maneuvers and eliminate additional people. Finn will be confused by Lee Finnegan's demeanor in the interim. Lee will provide updates on her thoughts on Luna and all the tumultuous news she generates. Lee may argue that prison isn't good enough because it's no secret that she believes Luna is a complete nightmare who is incapable of changing. Lee may be concerned that none of them will ever be completely safe until Luna is gone for good. Steffy Forrester's beach house, usually a sanctuary of sea breezes and familial warmth, hung thick with the cloying scent of desperation and impending violence, a stark contrast to the rhythmic crash of waves just beyond the glass doors, waves that now seemed less like nature's heartbeat and more like a relentless countdown to catastrophe. Luna Nozawa, her youthful features contorted by a terrifying blend of manic conviction and unraveling sanity, clutched the cold, hard reality of a gun as if it were a sacred talisman, her knuckles bleached white with the intensity of her grip, her gaze fixed with disturbing intensity not on the intruder before her but on Steffy, paralyzed nearby, Steffy, who in Luna's fractured perception had crystallized into the singular, monstrous obstacle blocking her path to the picture-perfect life she craved, a life eternally entwined with John Finnegan and his son, Hayes, a life where she was the rightful center, the adored mother figure, the indispensable wife, a life meticulously constructed in her deluded fantasies where Steffy's very existence was an intolerable flaw demanding ruthless excision. Sheila Sharp, the woman whose own history was a tapestry woven with threads of obsession, violence, and shocking maternal claims, especially concerning Finn, had not arrived as an ally to Luna's deranged crusade, but rather as a desperate, albeit self-serving, interventionist, having raced to the beach house fueled by a chilling realization that Luna had spiraled far beyond manageable instability into the realm of imminent, irreversible bloodshed. Sheila understood, with the cold clarity of a survivor who had danced on the edge of the abyss herself, that Luna's plan to simply eliminate Steffy wasn't just monstrous, it was catastrophically stupid, a suicidal act that would shatter Finn, destroy any fragile chance Luna might have had, and inevitably drag Sheila down into the vortex of blame and consequence. Luna, sweetheart, listen to me, Sheila implored, her voice a carefully modulated blend of honeyed concern and underlying steel, her eyes darting between the trembling gun in Luna's hand and Steffy's petrified form, acutely aware that one wrong word, one sudden move, could shatter the brittle tension and send a bullet tearing through the fragile peace. This isn't the way. Killing Steffy? It solves nothing. It destroys everything, Finn, Hayes, you. He will never look at you the same, he will hate you for it, and you'll spend the rest of your life in a cage, or worse. Yet, Luna remained an immovable object fueled by delusion, her eyes glazed, her mind echoing only with the distorted mantra that Steffy's removal was the only, key to unlocking her destined happiness. Sheila's warnings about Finn's inevitable revulsion seemed to bounce off an invisible shield of self-justification Luna had erected. Seeing reason fail, Sheila, the master manipulator, shifted tactics with predatory swiftness, a dangerous gambit born of necessity. Okay, Luna, she breathed, feigning a sudden, unsettling epiphany, her posture softening fractionally, a mask of twisted solidarity sliding into place. Maybe you're right. Maybe she has caused all this pain. Maybe I should do it. Give me the gun. Let me take this burden from you. Let me protect our family. The offer hung in the air, poisonous and seductive, but Luna's grip on the weapon only tightened, a flicker of suspicion, or perhaps possessiveness over her perceived righteous mission, flashing in her eyes. Sheila's sudden alignment felt too convenient, too sharp a pivot, triggering Luna's fractured instincts. No, Luna whispered, the word brittle and final, this is my choice. My solution. The refusal was the detonator. Seeing the last vestige of nonviolent persuasion evaporate, recognizing the unhinged determination hardening Luna's features, Sheila knew hesitation meant death, possibly Steffy's, possibly her own when Luna inevitably turned the weapon elsewhere in her spiraling madness. With a guttural cry that was equal parts fury and terror, Sheila launched herself forward, not at Luna directly, but at the deadly instrument clasped in her hand. Her movement was a blur of desperate energy, fueled by decades of survival instinct and the visceral need to prevent a murder unfolding before her eyes. Luna shrieked, more in startled rage than fear, as Sheila's hands clamped onto her wrist and the cold metal of the gun's barrel, her own fingers instinctively tightening in panicked resistance. What followed was a nightmarish ballet of desperation, a chaotic, grunting, sweating struggle played out mere feet from where Steffy stood frozen, a silent scream trapped in her throat, her eyes wide with primal horror. They grappled, two figures locked in a death embrace over the conduit of potential oblivion, their bodies twisting and straining against each other on the plush carpet, the gun a grotesque focal point jerking erratically between them. Luna, driven by delusion and panic, pulled back with ferocious strength. Sheila, anchored by grim determination and raw survival, yanked forward. The gun became a live thing, a serpent writhing in their combined grasp. Time seemed to fracture, stretching into an agonizing slow-motion tableau where every gasp, every scrape of shoe on floor, every straining muscle was amplified, until the universe itself seemed to flinch. Crack! The sound was obscenely loud, a violent rip in the fabric of the room, shockingly final against the backdrop of the ocean's murmur. It wasn't the deliberate, hate-filled discharge Luna had fantasized about. It was the brutal punctuation of chaos, the accidental offspring of their violent tug-of-war. The recoil jolted through both women, but the effect was horrifically specific. Luna staggered back, the gun now loose in her suddenly slack hand, her face a mask of utter, incomprehensible shock, the manic fervor draining instantly to be replaced by the dawning horror of unintended consequence. Her eyes, wide and disbelieving, locked not on Steffy, but on Sheila. Sheila sharp froze mid-struggle. A choked gasp escaped her lips, more surprise than pain at first. Then her gaze dropped slowly, almost curiously, to the blossoming crimson stain rapidly spreading across the fabric of her blouse, just below her ribs, the unmistakable mark of a bullet finding its mark deep in her abdomen. The fierce determination in her eyes flickered, replaced by a dazed confusion, then a profound, chilling shock. The strength leached from her limbs as if someone had pulled a plug. Her knees buckled, folding beneath her with terrifying inevitability. She crumpled to the floor, a marionette with its strings severed, landing heavily beside the ornate coffee table, one hand feebly clutching at the searing wound, her breath coming in shallow, ragged hitches. No, 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 and no. Luna's scream was raw, guttural, a sound torn from the depths of a nightmare she had authored but never intended to witness. The weapon of her delusion had just enacted a horrifyingly real, irrevocable consequence. The gun, now a smoking, damning artifact, felt alien and repulsive in her hand. She stared down at Sheila's gasping form, then wildly at Steffy, who remained rooted in place, her hand clamped over her mouth, tears streaming silently down her face, a silent witness to the bloody culmination of Luna's descent. Luna's mind, already fractured, seemed to shatter completely under the weight of the act. Panic, raw and overwhelming, surged through her veins, erasing any semblance of her earlier resolve. What now? The police? Prison? Finn's utter hatred? The image of Hayes looking at her with fear? The enormity of what she had done, even accidentally, crashed over her like a tsunami. Sheila, the woman she had alternately despised and relied upon, lay bleeding out on Steffy's floor, a direct result of her obsession, her possession of the gun, her refusal to relinquish it. The beach house, once a symbol of Forrester luxury, was now a crime scene, bathed in the harsh, unforgiving light of reality, the idyllic view outside mocking the carnage within. And Steffy, the intended target, was still there, a living, breathing witness to Luna's catastrophic failure and the horrifying violence it had unleashed. Luna's frantic eyes darted from the gasping Sheila to the traumatized Steffy, then to the gun still in her own trembling hand, the metallic tang of gunpowder mixing sickeningly with the coppery scent of blood in the air. Her breath came in short, sharp gasps, her mind racing through a labyrinth of terror-stricken possibilities, each exit sealed by the echoing crack of the gunshot and Sheila's agonized whimpers. The shock was profound, a physical blow, but beneath it, the frantic energy of a cornered animal began to surge. The horror show, far from concluding with Sheila's collapse, was merely entering its next, even more terrifying act, with Luna, backed into a corner by her own monstrous choices, still armed, still desperate, and now facing the petrified witness to her accidental crime, Steffy Forrester, whose front row seat to this nightmare was about to become exponentially more perilous as Luna, unmoored by sanity and consumed by panic, prepared to make wild, desperate moves that would soon claim more victims, casting a long, bloody shadow over the coming days. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to the carnage unfolding at the beach house, Finn Finnegan would find himself reeling from a different, yet equally chilling, perspective, his mother, Lee Finnegan, whose disdain for Luna had long curdled into cold, unforgiving certainty. Lee, upon learning of the escalating chaos surrounding Luna, would offer Finn updates steeped not in concern, but in chilling pragmatism and utter condemnation. For Lee, Luna was no misguided soul, she was a total nightmare, a vortex of destruction incapable of change, a perpetual threat. Lee's updates wouldn't be pleas for understanding or rehabilitation, they would be stark warnings, arguments that prison bars were insufficient, flimsy barriers against such inherent, dangerous instability. In Lee's icy calculus, whispered with terrifying conviction, the only path to true safety for Finn, for Hayes, for everyone Luna touched, lay in a far more permanent solution. Until Luna was gone permanently, the specter of violence she embodied would never truly dissipate, a grim counterpoint to the bloody struggle echoing down the coast. The struggle over the gun had ended with a single, devastating crack, but the reverberations, the desperate choices Luna would make next, the horrified witness Steffy represented, the chilling pronouncements from Lee, and the unknown fates of future victims, were only just beginning to unfold, promising a week drenched in further chaos and despair. After Luna hurts his son, Bill sobs at Liam's hospital bedside. After Luna Nozawa injures his son, Bill Spencer appears ready to lose it at Liam Spencer's hospital bedside and place the burden on himself. It appears like Liam will be one of the 3 characters who are shot over the week of July 7th to 11th. Liam might be shot while defending Steffy Forrester, necessitating potentially life-saving surgery. Bill will be appalled when he learns more about what transpired. Bill is the one who got Luna pardoned, therefore you can bet that he will blame himself for Liam's injuries. On top of everything else, Bill might learn that Liam has an incurable brain tumor, according to B&B previews, which also hint at a difficult conclusion about him. As Bill attempts to make sense of everything, that might truly set off the emotional cascade. Bill will admit that everyone has the right to be angry with him in the July 11th episode. Bill will understand all the rage he's feeling since he will be as angry with himself for assisting Luna in gaining her freedom. Bill will, however, make it plain that he is only concerned with one item at this time. Bill should finally be allowed to visit Liam after he recovers from his emergency surgery, since seeing him is all that matters. Bill will probably lose it at Liam's hospital bedside because we know he has some hard sequences coming soon. Bill can activate the waterworks and convey his profound regret for letting Luna loose on his loved ones. Bill might plead with his son to return to him if Liam remains in a coma for a while. Bill might encourage Liam to get up and fight for more time with the family even if he believes they don't have much time left due to the tumor. Given that Grace Buckingham is suddenly being harassed by someone on the phone, there may be a surprise in store. There must be another factor at play here because Grace is far too committed to getting Liam into treatment. Dr. Reese Buckingham's gambling problem and Grace's efforts to move on from her ex-husband were discussed, but it's possible that she's still entangled in some of his turmoil. Liam's hospitalization may result in the disclosure of some information about Grace, the medication she is giving him, and any false information she may have provided about the tumor. The sterile, antiseptic chill of the hospital corridor seemed to seep into Bill Spencer's very bones, a physical manifestation of the icy dread that had gripped his heart since the frantic call shattered his world. News of a shooting, multiple victims, and his son, Liam, caught in the crossfire, protecting Steffy, they said, had propelled him here in a blur of panic and disbelief. Now, standing like a condemned man outside the forbidding doors of the recovery room, the full, horrifying weight of the situation crashed over him with the force of a collapsing building. Liam, his often frustratingly principled but undeniably beloved son, lay on the other side, fighting for life after emergency surgery to repair damage inflicted by a bullet fired by Luna Nozawa. And the crushing, inescapable truth, the knowledge that turned Bill's formidable strength to ash, was that he had handed Luna the weapon, not literally, but with the full force of his power and influence. He was the architect of her freedom, the one who swept aside the mounting evidence and looming consequences to secure her pardon, blinded by a twisted sense of obligation or perhaps a residual flicker of something he mistook for affection. He'd unleashed her upon his family, upon the very son whose life now hung in the balance, tethered to beeping machines and sterile tubes. The guilt wasn't just a feeling, it was a physical entity, a leaden shroud pressing down on his chest, making each breath a ragged, painful effort. He'd been briefed tersely, the shooting was chaotic, Liam had thrown himself in front of Steffy, taking the bullet meant for her, the damage severe, requiring immediate, life-saving intervention. Survival was the first hurdle, but recovery, that was a path shrouded in terrifying uncertainty, and uncertainty compounded exponentially by the devastating secret Bill had just learned in the agonizing wait, the inoperable brain tumor. That bombshell, delivered in hushed, grave tones by a neurosurgeon Bill had barely registered, landed like a second, more intimate gunshot. Not only had his actions potentially killed his son tonight, but Liam was already carrying a death sentence Bill hadn't even known about. The juxtaposition was cruel, unbearable, the immediate, violent threat layered atop the slow, insidious one. He'd failed Liam on every conceivable level, failed to protect him from external danger, failed to even know about the internal enemy ravaging him. The image of Liam, already battling an unseen monster within his own skull, now lying broken and bleeding because of his father's catastrophic misjudgment, was a portrait of paternal failure so complete it threatened to unravel Bill Spencer entirely. When the nurse finally, silently gestured him forward, granting the coveted, terrifying permission to enter, Bill moved as if wading through concrete. The dimmed lights of the recovery room focused harshly on the bed, on the figure lying too still, too pale, dwarfed by technology. Liam was a mosaic of bandages and wires, an oxygen cannula tracing a line under his nose, his chest rising and falling with the artificial rhythm supported by machines. The vibrant, often exasperatingly righteous young man was reduced to this fragile vessel of breath and beeps. Bill stopped at the bedside, his usual imposing stature seeming to shrink, dwarfed by the magnitude of his son's vulnerability and his own culpability. The carefully constructed facade of the ruthless titan, the man who commanded boardrooms and bent LA to his will, dissolved like smoke. His knees buckled slightly, not enough to fall, but enough for the tremor to become visible. He reached out a hand, hovering over Liam's unnervingly cool one resting on the sheet, afraid to touch, afraid his very contact might cause further harm. Liam. His voice, usually a commanding baritone, emerged as a shattered whisper, raw and choked. Son. The words "I'm sorry" lodged in his throat, inadequate, pathetic. How could mere syllables encompass the ocean of regret, the tectonic shift of self-loathing he was drowning in? He'd faced down enemies, orchestrated takeovers, weathered scandals, but nothing had prepared him for this desolate landscape of his own making. The sight of his child, broken by a consequence he enabled, unlocked a floodgate he'd spent a lifetime reinforcing with steel and arrogance. Tears, hot and shameful, welled uncontrollably, blurring his vision of Liam's still face. They traced paths down his weathered cheeks, a silent, humiliating testament to the devastation within. He hadn't cried since, he couldn't even remember. But here, in the hushed sterility punctuated only by the rhythmic sigh of the ventilator and the relentless beep of the heart monitor, the dam broke. "This is my fault," he rasped, the words thick with tears, directed not just at Liam, but at the uncaring universe, at himself. All of it. Luna, her freedom. I did that. I was so arrogant, so blind. I thought I was controlling it, fixing something, but I just unleashed a nightmare. On you. On Steffy. On everyone. His hand finally descended, trembling, to grasp Liam's unresponsive fingers. The coolness of his son's skin sent a fresh wave of anguish through him. I thought I knew best. I always think I know best, and look where it got you. Look what my knowing best cost you. The tumor. The unspoken specter loomed even larger in the shadow of the gunshot wound. The doctors had focused on the immediate trauma, the surgery a success for now, but the other prognosis hung like a poisonous cloud. They told me about your head, son, Bill choked out, his voice cracking. The tumor. Why didn't you tell me? Why did I have to find out like this? The question was rhetorical, laced with self-recrimination. Because you weren't there. Because you're Bill Spencer, and you bulldoze, you don't listen. The realization was another twist of the knife. But it doesn't matter now. None of that matters except you fighting. Do you hear me, Liam? You fight. His voice rose, desperate, pleading, squeezing Liam's hand as if he could transfer his own formidable will through sheer touch. You wake up. You come back. You fight this. Fight all of it. We don't know how much time. He couldn't bring himself to say we don't know how much time you have left. We need time. I need time. Time to make this right. Time to be the father I should have been. Please, Liam. Please, open your eyes. Look at me. Yell at me. Tell me what a colossal failure I am. Just, come back. His forehead touched the cool metal rail of the bed, his shoulders shaking with silent, wrenching sobs. The image of Liam potentially slipping away, not just from the gunshot but from the insidious tumor, without Bill ever having the chance to truly atone, was a hellscape he couldn't bear to inhabit. He begged, whispered promises, apologies, pleas, into the sterile air, a litany of desperation aimed at his unconscious son. The image of Luna, free because of him, walking away while Liam lay here fighting for the life she had endangered, fueled a white-hot rage beneath the grief, but it was directed entirely inward. He was the target of his own fury. He replayed the moments leading to Luna's pardon, the manipulation, the dismissal of concerns, the sheer arrogance of believing his power could contain any fallout. He saw Brooke's accusatory glare, Ridge's cold fury, Steffy's traumatized face, faces that would soon be joined by Hope's devastation and Katie's profound disappointment. The spoilers echoed in his mind. Bill will acknowledge that everyone has a right to be livid with him. They were right. God, they were so right. And his own fury at himself dwarfed theirs. He was livid. Livid at his own stupidity, his hubris, his catastrophic error that had brought a loaded gun, metaphorically and now horrifyingly literally, into his family's sanctum. He would face their wrath, absorb every ounce of it, because he deserved far worse. But in this suspended moment, kneeling metaphorically and emotionally at his son's bedside, none of that external anger mattered. The only thing that existed was Liam's shallow breaths, the relentless beep of the monitor tracking his fragile hold on life, and Bill's crushing, soul-deep realization of the true cost of his actions. He was the mighty Bill Spencer, brought lower than he ever imagined possible, shattered by the consequences of his own choices, weeping over the son he might lose twice over, to violence he enabled and an illness he hadn't even known to fight. The hospital room became a confessional without absolution, a prison of his own making, and the only potential key lay in the silent, wounded figure before him. The pathos was absolute, a titan humbled and broken, his empire of influence meaningless against the fragile, precious life hanging by a thread he had frayed. And looming over this intimate tragedy was the unsettling specter of Grace Buckingham, her frantic, almost manic insistence on Liam getting specific treatment, the pills she administered, the whispers of her ex-husband Reese's gambling debts. Bill's agonized focus was solely on Liam now, but the seeds of another potential betrayal, another layer of manipulation possibly affecting Liam's very diagnosis and prognosis, lay dormant in the background, waiting to compound the Spencer family's anguish in ways Bill, in his current state of utter devastation, couldn't even begin to fathom. The secrets surrounding Grace and the tumor's narrative threatened to erupt, promising that even if Liam woke, the ground beneath Bill's feet, already crumbling, might yet give way entirely.